Good afternoon. This is Lindsay. It is Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. And so I'm going to talk today about what happened today during this ongoing smear campaign thing. And you know what? I am not trying to say or imply that every single person is participating in this and that everybody is not who they say they are. That is not what I'm trying to say. But what I am trying to say is that whenever you're a targeted person and you've been targeted and gang stalked for as long as I have, you can pretty much tell who the fuck is gang stalking you and who's not, okay? And I'm not paranoid. Paranoid actually means being aware. If you're paranoid, it means that you're aware. Now, if you're extremely hypersensitive and paranoid, that's another thing altogether, and that is not how I am. And I don't appreciate people trying to categorize me in a way that's inaccurate when I clearly see what the fuck is going on, because it's been going on for a long time. And as a matter of fact, I'm continuing to pursue legal help to get to the bottom of what's going on, as far as all the contracts signed without my consent, the money stolen from me from my inheritance from my dead father, Alan Baldwin, the fact that I've been exploited for so long, the fact that all kinds of things going on without my consent have been happening, and I will get the answers that I need. Yeah, I've made some mistakes by consulting with spiritual advisors or whatever these people claim to be, trying to get some help. And I'm not saying that all those people are not accurate, because I'm sure that some of them do know what they're doing, and they probably do. They probably are honest in certain ways. I wouldn't doubt it. But at the same time, it's difficult to know who to trust when you're being targeted, or when you're a targeted individual. So when I had consulted with that person, this voodoo whatever person, I guess he does some kind of black whatever you call it, I don't know. He claimed that he does good magic, good stuff. But when I saw him on the video call, first of all, he misrepresented himself. He wasn't the picture. And then he had the Archangel, sorry, it's hard for me to say that, Archangel Michael thing, little picture on his profile or his WhatsApp picture. But then his Facebook picture is not at all who he is. And so when I finally did the Zoom call with the man or not a Zoom call, video chat, this was a couple weeks ago, to see, because he was wondering what I needed help. I told him I needed help to get answers as to what's going on with, some things I needed to know about. That's all I was doing, trying to get answers about things. And then he went on to tell me that, they have people out to try to kill me, that I'm going to die, that there's a bunch of people who've done all kinds of witchcraft on me here in the city, and that certain people, and he told me the names of the people involved. He told me that my mother and her sister, my mother, the one who lives, well, if she's my fucking mother or not, I don't even know, and I don't care. He said that she and my aunt consulted with a witch named Maria in Mexico to dig a grave for me, or put my photo or something. I don't know what they call it. It's like some kind of something. He told me the name of what it's called, that they do this, some kind of weird black magic witchcraft thing where they actually put a photograph of somebody who they want to die, who they want to cast a spell on, and they'll put the photograph of that person in the grave of somebody who died in a violent way, or somebody who was abused, and they'll find the grave of that person, and that's what supposedly what they did with me. And my mother and her sister are the ones who orchestrated that, and they hired some witch named Maria in Mexico to do this in some cemetery in Guadalajara. That's what this man told me. And then he told me that this man his first name was Gabriel, this man who's like African, he's a black man, like part Colombian or Haitian or something, but nonetheless he was a black man who spoke Spanish, as do a lot of the people from Colombia and Haiti. There's a lot of obviously black people who speak Spanish, Cubans and whatnot, but nonetheless that's beside the point. He had a number from his area code was from Maryland or California actually. It started with 209, but he told me that he lived in Maryland and that he traveled all over and that he had a house in Spain and all this. And he could be telling the truth. I have no idea. I really don't know. He was very coherent and very intelligent when I spoke with him. He was a smart man. But it's weird because I could feel like for one part of me told me that this man was being honest and he wanted to help me. Another half of me was saying, no, he's lying to you or he's just trying to get money. I did not know what to think anymore because I felt like I was already under some kind of spell. And it was weird because as soon as I started talking to this man, he asked, I told him I want to know why they sent, he told me that the man, because I was asking him specific questions. He said, what do you need to know? And I said, well, I need to know who my biological father is, number one, why they're doing this to me, why I'm being targeted, and how much money is involved, and then why are these fake people coming in and out of my life, like fake relationships. And he told me that man that was involved with me was paid by, I guess, my brother, this narcissist Carter in California. They paid these people to mess with me or to try to handle whatever you call it, to infiltrate my life, to try to disturb my peace, to try to exploit me. And that's what that was about. And I knew that all along, that man was being paid to fuck with me and try to discredit me and steal my money. I knew that. I figured that out a long time ago and even confronted him about it, but he still kept harassing me, pursuing me like like some kind of a goddamn debt collector, whatever. It was just horrible abuse that I went through with that. Thank God that's over. But then he also told me that that yes, there's money, that man indeed, that Alan Baldwin indeed is my biological father, and that he's not going to rest in peace until the truth is out there, he told me. And so he's continuously fighting because this man, this psychic spiritual advisor, claimed that he speaks with the dead, that he had, and he says, I know I communicate with the dead. I said, well, I can kind of do the same thing, but obviously I don't know what level. Obviously this man does different kinds of, I don't know how to do that. I don't do witchcraft spells or whatever voodoo stuff. I don't know how to do that stuff, but whatever they do in their culture, I know that from what I've heard and from what I've researched, it can be evil and demonic, and they do some of these spells are bad, and I don't know because I don't practice voodoo. I don't know about voodoo. I don't do voodoo. I don't do witchcraft. I don't do that stuff. But I know from what I hear, from what I understand, some of this stuff is very dangerous, and that people die, people get in accidents. And then he did tell me that I was going to get into a bad accident, and that really fucked with my head. He told me that I was going to die really soon, that I was going to get into a bad accident that was on the freeway or something involving my head, that I was going to have an accident, some kind of trauma to the head. And so I don't believe that. I mean, people will say anything to get $1 from you, but I am very careful when I drive. I try to be, and that's one thing that I do have fears of, is getting in a bad car accident and having something happen where, I do have had visions about that, but I don't think that's going to happen to me because I feel like I have, a higher power looking out after me, and I'm very careful. It's other people who I have to look out for when I'm driving, because there's a lot of really bad drivers out there who don't pay attention and they're just negligent and irresponsible. But so some of these people can be kind of frightening. That's why I had never done, that's the first time I've ever in my life consulted any kind of a, whatever they call themselves, spiritual advisors or psychics. It's the first time I've ever done that. or actually paid somebody like that. I've never even gone. I think somebody once did a tarot card reading for me a long time ago when I was living in California in Echo Park. Some man approached me, some Cuban man, when I was at this little restaurant, and he just came right up to me, some Cuban man with white hair and blue eyes, and he started telling me that he was psychic and that he could tell that I was psychic, that I had some kind of a gift of clairvoyance. And then he proceeded to just start doing this tarot card reading for me. And I didn't ask him, I didn't even pay him, or I gave him a little bit of a tip, but he found me. I didn't go out seeking this man. And that was like back in around 2002 or something, when I lived out in Echo Park, Los Angeles. So I've had a lot of these people approach me throughout my life, but I have never really consulted any of them. But sometimes you feel like, well, who are you going to talk to whenever the legal system lets you down? You get lied, taken advantage of by the legal system, the court system. It's like you don't really know who to turn to sometimes. And sometimes I feel like, well, maybe there are people out there in the spiritual realm, the psychic community, who do have answers or who can help me, but then you never really know with them either. It's like a catch-22, because you never know who you're really dealing with. And then when I did get to see who he was, it's just that I was kind of like surprised, because he didn't represent himself. I guess they call that catfishing, but it's not like I was trying to date the man. But he wasn't who he said. He didn't represent himself as who he in the photograph on his Facebook profile thing. And he said something like he was from Solomon's Temple, and I started doing more research about Solomon's Temple and all this stuff. So a lot of this stuff goes back to like Judaism and Kabbalah stuff. And I'm not really, I believe in the star of Saturn, and I believe in astrology, because actually astrology is biblical. That's all in the Bible. If you're a Christian and you don't believe in astrology, then you're probably like a little bit naive, because the whole Bible is based on astrology. The Bible is astrological, and astrology is not evil at all. It's not satanic or demonic at all. But people get the wrong conception about astrology, when in fact it's not bad at all. Astrology is not evil. Sometimes tarot cards, some of that other stuff that people get really into, like this prediction stuff and tarot card, some of that can be a little bit too much, and a lot of that can turn into real dark, negative things. So I don't go that direction with what I try to do. I just learn about astrology, and I don't even do tarot card. I don't know how to do tarot. I've never done a tarot card reading on any. I don't know how to do that. I'm not trained. I could probably learn how, but I don't do that. I can, what I do as far as my abilities that I have, I think, or I can just kind of figure things out. Like I after observing people and being around them, and then sort of just watching and listening, I kind of I analyze things, and then I come up with my own conclusion. And normally I'm pretty correct about a lot of what happens, because all the signs are around me constantly, like signs pointing in the direction of what's being portrayed right in front of me. But a lot of times I've ignored that and gone on with what I'm trying, what the lie, I guess you could say, the mask that these people wear. But the answers are all around you. When you really need to know the answer to something, I think you don't really need to consult a spiritual advisor. You just need to pray, or to whoever your higher power is, just ask for answers, for clarity, and then meditate about it and think about it a lot. And the answers will come to you at night, when you're dreaming, when you're asleep. At odd times, the answers will just come to you, sometimes when you least expect it. But they'll present themselves in ways that are sort of abstract, or kind of not direct. In other words, like, like you'll get answers to things that you need to know about that you've been asking. Maybe you ask questions out loud. Maybe you pray out loud, whatever. And and then you'll notice it around you in your surroundings, the environment, the atmosphere, the spiritual realm, and people are telling you little bits and pieces of what you have been wanting to know. This is how that works. That's kind of it's kind of not really sure the word to describe that either, but if the people who would understand what I'm talking about are people who are in touch with their spiritual self, people who are in touch with not just a box mentality of, everything's got to be rules and regulations and everything done by the book. Those are not the people that I'm trying to communicate with, because those people don't understand. It doesn't register with them what I'm talking about. But I think other people who are more in touch with the spiritual side of life can understand what I'm talking about. And mostly, especially people who have lost a loved one or people who they cared about have passed away, and they are really in tune with their environment and their surroundings, and they're hypersensitive people and intuitive. Those kinds of people, I think, can understand more what I'm communicating. But other people don't, and they never will. I find that a lot of people who are just completely atheist and just are people who I don't really like to be around those people, because they drag me down. I think also that a person, if they say that they're atheist, I don't believe they're 100% atheist either. I believe that there's probably a part of them deep down that does acknowledge that there's a God or higher power, but their ego won't allow them to accept that, because they're so scientifically minded that they refuse to see anything in the spiritual aspect of things. So they are dead set with that idea that there's no God, that everything is like science. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people like that. They just refuse. They're just atheists, or they have a complete lack of God. A lot of those people are actually satanic. And to each his own. I don't care if you want to be, if you're atheist and whatever. I don't give a shit what a person is. I just know what I'm not, and I know what I prefer to not be around. I know the kinds of people who drag my energy down and make me feel nauseated and sick. And the longer you're away from those people, the better you feel. The more you'll start to heal. As long as you get those people out of your headspace and out of your boundaries, you'll notice it with time. You start to feel better. You start to be able to, you can breathe again. You can concentrate. You can focus. Whenever those people who were in your life are trying to take away that from you, they're trying to take away your focus, your energy, your gifts of discernment, your path of whatever you're supposed to be doing. These people come into your life intentionally to harm you and to cause damage, because they are sent by demonic entities. And this is real. These people do exist. They're energy, psychic vampires that just want to destroy other people, because they cannot stand it if somebody is doing what they want to do in life and going about their own way, as opposed to following some conformed, regulated, structured type thing that you're supposed to do in society. You are supposed to have a 9-to-5 job. You're supposed to do this. According to who? According to what? The government? I don't fuck the government. Screw the fucking government. The government hasn't done shit for me. Pardon me, but you know what? If I'm supposedly mentally ill or schizophrenic like they have claimed, which is a fucking lie, I'm not schizophrenic or whatever, then how come I'm not on disability? Then why, then how come, if I have been given such a serious mental diagnosis, such as schizoid affective disorder or schizophrenia or whatever the fuck they want to label me as, then how the fuck am I not getting paid by the government to live? How do they expect someone like me to go out there and get a 9-to-5 job if I've been given that kind of label? And everybody finds out about it and then does a smear campaign, and you get mobbed and gang stalked and harassed. Does that make any sense to you? Like, why the fucking government will fucking use Social Security to send you to some fucking people that they send from Social Security who with some, I'll never forget that horrendous experience with Social Security that I went through when they gave me a bogus mental diagnosis of schizophrenia with some woman who was so fucking distracted with some fucking baby screaming in the background. She didn't even know what the fuck she was doing. And she looked like she was about half my age. Excuse me, bitch? Do you have any, fuck you, you don't know shit. Schizophrenia? Because I'm aware and I hate the government, I'm schizophrenic. Anybody who goes against the fucking government is paranoid schizophrenia. Basically, if you can think for yourself, if you're creative, if you're a nonconformist, you're schizophrenic, you're delusional, and you're paranoid, and you're gonna die, and you're gonna be poor, according to the government DSM-3 or whatever, that stupid fucking manual that they use to fuck up people's lives. And I am very much against that, and I am very supportive of the Citizens Commission on Human Rights. Okay, I do support 100%, and I don't, to all that fucking medication, fuck that psychiatric shit. It's poison, it's gonna kill you. I should know after what I went through with years of that shit, and I personally would never go near that shit with a fucking 10-foot pole. And if anybody ever tried to get me on that shit, I'd fucking put up a fucking fight or probably fucking use self-defense. Because I will not tolerate being abused by the fucking psychiatric system or the mental health or anybody wearing a fucking white coat acting like they're a god. No, absolutely not. You don't have authority over my life. And there's other people who I know stand with what I'm talking about, and they should stand up for what they're, because if you've had the experience of abuse by those people, then by all means, get on YouTube and tell your story, because maybe you can help some other people who don't have a voice, who are afraid to talk about it. You shouldn't be. I was for a long time afraid, but not anymore. No, your voice and your experience is what gives you power. It's what makes you unique. This is who you are. And for people to try to take that away from you and to try to silence you and to try to interfere with your life and what you're doing, no, they have no right to do that. They have no right to do that whatsoever. So just continue. I don't care what you advocate for. If you continue to speak out whatever it is that you believe in. If you've experienced it for yourself and you know what it's like to go through that kind of fucking trauma of whatever it is, then talk about it. Talk about it. Talk, by all means, get on a platform and talk about it. And don't hide behind a curtain of deceit or of betrayal, of embarrassment or shame, because no. You must talk about these things when you've been abused, manipulated, exploited, sexually abused, or whatever. You by all means talk about it, because guess what? You are your own advocate. You're your best friend and your best advocate. You're going to have a lot of haters, but you know what? That's okay, because at least you know what you're talking about, because you had to go through it and you survived it. And that's really all that matters, isn't it? Is it really that important what a bunch of people you don't know think? Not really. Who cares what they think? Because you know what happened. You know the truth. So anyway, back to something else. So that psychic shit, I don't know what, I am not communicating with that person anymore. He got some of my money, but he told me that I was going to get all the money that they stole from me and then some, is what he told me. He said that everything that they stole from me was going to be returned, and that yes, that man is my father, and that he's very angry about what they've done to me, and that fucking narcissist sibling of mine is the one who sent that asshole narcissist to fuck up my life, that dude who was harassing me for 2 years, whatever, that jackass fucking loser. So I did get a few answers to some things, but I don't know if they're 100% true. But I kind of believe what he said, to be honest with you. I don't know who he's affiliated with, but maybe he was telling something about the truth. I don't know, but a lot of these people, since I'm under surveillance in this house, I know that there's illegal surveillance in this house monitoring everything I do. So everything I say or talk about gets, well, I put it on YouTube, but I also know that I'm under surveillance in this house. Why? Because I guess they think I'm a threat. I'm a threat because I can speak my mind and I speak for myself. I'm a threat. Okay, good, whatever. So what? So here's something that happened that was kind of strange today. I went to the gym, to the Gold's Gym way out. I don't know, pretty far away, but the one that I kind of prefer to go to. Yes, the one that I prefer to go to. If I do go, the one that I like the most. But yeah. But because sometimes I just want to get the fuck out of this area and out of this house, and I need to drive a little bit, and it's like a little road trip, you know. It takes a little bit of time to get there. The road, people drive like crazy, but sometimes for me it's worth it because it's just getting the fuck out of this house, and sometimes I like to drive on the freeway. I like to drive because I know how to fucking drive, and I enjoy driving sometimes, but not every day that distance, but sometimes I enjoy that. Not that car that I drive, but I do like drive. You know, if it were only a stick shift sports car, it'd be a lot better, but not right now. Eventually, I'm sure I'll have what I want. But so I got to the gym. I went to the gym over there, and for whatever reason, okay, the staff I find to be okay. They seem decent. They seem mature people. This morning at the front desk was a woman named, her name starts with an S. She has dark, kind of black hair. I think she's probably Hispanic lady. I like her too. She's nice. I don't remember her first name. Slovenia or something like that. She was there. She greeted me. And then I like that place because the people are more mature. They seem more mature. Not a bunch of kids, immature kids working there. Or stuck-up people. They don't seem that way to me. They're not stuck up. They don't have that arrogant attitude like some of these other, like the one at Highway 78, fucking walls, Converse is stuck up. Some of these people are so fucking pretentious that it's just irritating. But not at this place. And so, and plus the man who does all the repairs, he's a nice guy, really nice. Seems like a very nice man, really smart, intelligent man. Probably some kind of military or ex-military, I would assume. I don't know, some kind of engineer of some kind, mechanic. But he was there. For whatever reason, all of the treadmills, the incline treadmills, like the one I really like, the free motion treadmills, they were all, except the ones on the front aisle, he was dismantling all of them. The back part where the engine is in the back of the machine. So he was doing something. He had the tops taken off, and he was doing something, maybe doing something to the engines, repairing them, putting oil. I don't know what he was doing, but he was basically doing something to each machine, just about. And I was on one of them the whole time, and then there was a couple of them that were in use, that he was not doing anything with, but pretty much, even actually the ones on the front aisle also, most of them were also dismantled. So whatever he was doing, he was repairing them, doing something, and he looked at me and smiled, and I smiled back and waved. And I was going to ask him, I wanted to ask him a question, like, I'm just curious, what are you doing, or what you know, I was just curious, but I didn't ask him. I didn't want to distract him or interfere with his work. But it was kind of interesting because I was getting a better look at the engine of these machines. And, you know, these machines are like little automobiles. They have a very powerful engine. If a machine can go up to that incline, such as these free motion treadmills, it has such a high incline, and they can go that fast, then it has to have a very powerful motor. And it's important that those machines are maintained because, well, think about it. It's like maintaining a vehicle. Any kind of machine like that, it's like taking care of a car. You have to change the oil. You have to maintain the track has to be in good condition. You know, that's how they are. They're very expensive, high grade machines. They're not toys. And I see a lot of people that get on these machines and they treat them like a toy, like they don't take, you have to take care of it. You have to take care of these machines. And if you take care of them, just like a car, if you change the oil and get the maintenance done, the car will last for a long, long time, even if it has over 100,000 whatever miles on it. Obviously maintenance, but I'm obviously not a mechanic, and I drive a car that I don't want to drive, but it's a car that's economical. Okay, it's a car that'll last a long time so long as you maintain it, which I do. I do maintain it, and I take care of it. It's not the cleanest car. It's not spick and span clean, but I take care of it mechanically speaking, and I save all the receipts and everything. And I maintain it well. I try to. That's important if you're going to drive, obviously, because duh. So, and I've never been in an accident. The car is in good condition. Except somebody did remove the bumper and fucked up my bumper, and so they did something, so I just took the whole thing off, but somebody did that, and other than that, the car is fine. But it doesn't, there's no air conditioning in there, it's just blowing hot air, so I guess I need to put some Freon in there or something. And I do need to, it's about time to get the oil changed, but not just yet, but it's about time. It's time to start thinking about that. It's getting to the point. It's still okay, but it's time pretty soon to get the oil change, which I'll do here soon, shortly. I don't know why I'm talking about my car, but I have a fascination with like machines and mechanics and treadmills and ellipticals and things that have an engine. I really have an interest in these things, even though I'm not a mechanic. I don't know how to. Maybe I should have been a mechanic. Maybe I should. That probably would have been something I probably would have enjoyed. Tinkering with engines and little things. But nowadays, when you open up the hood of a car, it's just basically a computer. It's all, it's not like it used to be. So I wouldn't know what the fuck to do. I wouldn't even know how to work on a Chinese, Asian car. I knew how to work on a Ford. When I drove the Ford pickup truck, I certainly knew how to tinker with that thing. I even learned how to change the oil on that, and that was years ago. But I started to learn a lot about mechanics when I was younger and living in New Mexico. That was a long time ago. But I do. I like engines. I don't like airplanes. I don't like getting in air for whatever reason. I like cars and driving. I don't like boats, and I don't like airplanes. I try to avoid any kind of travel on the ocean. I fucking hate that. I still have trauma from a child of being in the middle of the fucking harbor at the Houston Yacht Club in the ocean over there, or whatever, the Gulf part of the yacht club, whatever, in Kima. And I would be terrified when we'd be anchored out in the middle of fucking nowhere for the whole weekend, and then maybe he would start drinking a little bit and they would start arguing, he and Marty, my stepmother, and God forbid I would be standing there at the end of the fucking boat ready to jump off. I was so scared as a little child. I would get to they would be screaming and shouting and throwing fucking bottles and making a scene. And I would get to I would be terrified. I'd be crying. I was always like holding my ear so I didn't have to listen to them. And I would close my eyes like this. I didn't want to see it or hear it. I just tried to block it all out. And I would go to the very end of the bow of the boat of that thing. I guess that was Dragon Slayer was the name of that boat that he had at that time. I would get to the fucking end of the fucking boat, the bow, whatever, the front of the boat. And I would just stand there and look over the edge. And then I would dangle from the edge of the boat. Sometimes I'd play dare, truth or dare, or not truth or dare, but I would do a lot of risky things as a kid. And I was like, should I jump? Should I stay? I would taunt with myself about, should I jump over? I would play games with myself about jumping overboard. But I would spend hours and hours just at the edge of the boat like that in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day, just watching the water and thinking if I should jump over, what would it be like if I went in the water. I was just a weird kid, kind of weird. I guess you could say I was kind of borderline suicidal at age 7 or 8, because I was afraid that the drunkenness the chaos that was going on with that, Ben, supposedly, he's not my father. No, he's not my father. Alan's my father, his brother. But anyway, I would fucking get terrified, because when you're around drunk people as a child, as I was always exposed to fucking drunks, drunk, fucking wasted, it would fucking make me so mad, so scared and angry and embarrassed. I just remember being humiliated and embarrassed by these people. It's like, how could an adult behave like that in front of a child, especially? How the fuck could they do that, you know? And it would make me fucking crazy mad. I don't know who that is. I suppose it's a fucking neighbor, but I don't know. I don't know who that is. I'm not answering it, but so anyway, I hated the water. I don't like traveling on the water. I don't like boats, and I don't like airplanes. I like trains and automobiles. Anything on the land. Not the air and not the water. Somebody was knocking on my door. I don't know if it's a fucking neighbor or who that is, but it's probably, I don't know. What? I'm in the middle of trying to do something. What? Yes? What? Where do I want to move my car? So I'm trying to make a fucking video and they're telling me to go move my car, so I have to go move my car. These people doing that shit at that fucking house. Some woman. These people all work for the fucking government, by the way, and they're just trying to keep tabs on me and interrupt me. But I'll go move my fucking car, and then that's the end of this video.